Lincy Alexander passed away at the age of 82, leaving behind a legacy that shaped the soul of Chicago blues. Known for his raw authenticity, mesmerizing guitar skills, and a voice that seemed to carry the weight of every hardship he ever faced, Lincy was more than just a musician. He was a storyteller, a historian of the blues, and a living embodiment of the genre's heart and soul. Born in a small Mississippi town, Alexander grew up surrounded by the sounds of gospel, soul, and the deep Mississippi blues that would later shape his career. As a young boy, he learned to play guitar on a beat-up six-string handed down by his uncle. His fingers moved over the strings with a natural ease, but it was his ability to translate his emotions into melody that truly set him apart. By the time he was a teenager, he had already made his way to Chicago, where the thriving blues scene embraced him with open arms. In smoky clubs and dimly lit bars, Lincy's music found its home. His voice, rough yet soulful, carried the pain of love lost, the struggles of poverty, and the fleeting moments of joy that came from music itself. Each song was a personal confession, and every guitar riff felt like a heartbeat. Audiences didn't just listen to Lincy, they felt him. He became known as the Soul of South Side, a title he wore with pride, even though fame was never his goal. Over the decades, Lincy Alexander recorded numerous albums, each one capturing a different shade of his life. From blistering electric blues that spoke of urban struggle to haunting acoustic ballads rooted in his Southern upbringing, his catalog became a musical autobiography. Tracks like Cold Steel Blues and Ain't No Home Like This Guitar are still studied today by aspiring blues musicians, eager to tap into even a fraction of his emotional depth. Despite his immense talent, Alexander remained humble. He was a mentor to countless younger musicians, always willing to share his knowledge and passion. For him, the blues was never about fame or fortune. It was about truth. "If you ain't telling the truth with your music, you ain't playing the blues," he would often say. That philosophy guided his entire life, both on and off the stage. His impact stretched beyond music. Lincy was a voice for the working class, for the brokenhearted, for those who felt invisible. In his songs, they found validation, comfort, and sometimes even hope. He believed music had the power to heal, and for many, his songs did just that. Even as health issues slowed him down in his later years, Alexander never truly left the stage. He played intimate shows, passing down stories between songs, ensuring the history and spirit of Chicago blues would not be forgotten. He wasn't just preserving a genre, he was preserving a culture. When news of his passing broke, tributes poured in from every corner of the music world. Fellow musicians, fans, and even those who had only heard his name in passing spoke of his undeniable influence. He wasn't just a performer, he was a keeper of history, a guardian of emotion, and a man who lived his truth through every note he played. Lincy Alexander's story doesn't end with his passing. His music lives on, his legacy woven into the very fabric of blues history. From smoky Chicago clubs to the headphones of a new generation discovering his work, his spirit will continue to echo wherever the blues are played. Atilio Veronelli passed away at the age of 80, leaving behind a remarkable legacy that touched every corner of Argentine entertainment. A true force of nature, Veronelli's talents stretched across comedy, acting, directing, and writing, each role he played contributing to a body of work that continues to shape Argentina's cultural landscape. His quick wit, infectious humor, and creative genius made him a household name. Beloved by audiences from Buenos Aires to the smallest rural towns. Born into a family that valued storytelling and humor, Atilio found his voice early. His natural gift for comedy surfaced even in childhood, where he would mimic teachers and create hilarious sketches to entertain classmates. This innate ability to find humor in everyday life would become the foundation of his career. By the time he reached his early 20s, Atilio was already a regular on Argentina's thriving theater scene, using his sharp, comedic timing to breathe life into characters that felt familiar yet larger than life. His big break came with El Mundo de Antonio Gasla, a show that blended comedy, satire, and social commentary in a way few had ever attempted. Veronelli's ability to improvise, craft punchlines on the spot, and create unforgettable moments made him a fan favorite. He wasn't just a supporting actor, he was a comedic engine driving the show's energy forward. Whether playing eccentric characters or portraying ordinary people caught in absurd situations, his performances always felt authentic and grounded. But Atilio Veronelli was never content with staying in front of the camera. Behind the scenes, his creative mind was constantly at work. He wrote scripts that blended humor with heart, ensuring that every laugh carried a touch of truth. As a director, he brought out the best in his actors, encouraging spontaneity and natural performances. His productions felt alive, thanks in large part to his belief that comedy should be rooted in reality. Veronelli's reach extended far beyond television. He was a giant in Argentine theater, writing and directing numerous successful plays. His works often explored the quirks of Argentine society, its politics, its culture, its humor, and his ability to find comedy in everyday struggles resonated deeply with audiences. His plays became gathering points where people could laugh at themselves, find catharsis, and walk away with a renewed appreciation for life's absurdities. In the later years of his career, Veronelli became a mentor to younger comedians, actors, and writers. He understood that his legacy would not be complete unless he passed his knowledge forward. Known for his generosity and his brutal honesty, he pushed young talent to find their unique voice while staying true to themselves. Many of today's top Argentine comedians credit Veronelli with shaping their careers and teaching them the importance of respecting their audience. Despite his fame, Atilio never lost his connection to the people. He believed comedy wasn't about ego or fame. It was about bringing joy, sparking thought, and connecting through laughter. Even in interviews, he spoke with humility, always crediting his success to the audiences who embraced him and the colleagues who challenged him to be better. His passing marks the end of an era, but his legacy lives on in every laugh he inspired and every artist he mentored. From the streets of Buenos Aires to the global Argentine diaspora, his name carries weight, a symbol of creativity, humor, and fearless storytelling. Atilio Veronelli wasn't just a performer, he was a cultural pillar, a man whose work captured the soul of a nation with humor, heart, and relentless honesty. Roberta Flack passed away at the age of 87, leaving behind a legacy that forever changed the landscape of soul, jazz, and R&B music. Her voice, gentle yet powerful, became a symbol of emotional honesty, blending vulnerability with quiet strength. Roberta wasn't just a singer, she was a storyteller, a poet in melody, whose songs spoke directly to the human heart. Born in Black Mountain, North Carolina, Roberta's journey into music started in the church, where gospel hymns shaped her understanding of soul and storytelling. Her talents surfaced early, and by the age of 15, she had earned a scholarship to Howard University, a groundbreaking achievement for a young black woman in the 1950s. Originally focused on classical piano, Roberta's love for diverse musical styles soon took her beyond the confines of classical music, setting her on a path toward becoming one of the most distinctive voices of her generation. Her breakthrough came quietly, performing at Washington, D.C. clubs where her soulful renditions of pop standards and jazz classics captivated audiences. But it was her ability to take a song and transform it into something deeply personal that set her apart. This rare gift caught the attention of Atlantic Records, and in 1969, she released her debut album, First Take. It was on this album that she recorded The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, a song that would define her career and win her a Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 1973. The haunting simplicity of her voice, paired with the sparse yet poignant arrangement, created a moment in music history, one where silence felt as profound as sound. The song's success cemented Roberta Flack as not just a singer, but an interpreter of emotions, capable of expressing love, longing, and heartbreak with a subtlety few could match. Her success continued through the 1970s with hits like Killing Me Softly with His Song, a track that earned her a second Record of the Year Grammy in 1974. This back-to-back win was unprecedented at the time, further proving her unique ability to bridge genres and appeal to a wide audience. Her music was intimate, often feeling as though she was singing directly to each listener. Roberta's collaborations were equally iconic, most notably her duets with Donny Hathaway. Together, they created timeless classics such as Where Is the Love and The Closer I Get to You. Their musical chemistry was undeniable, blending two distinct yet complementary voices into pure magic. Despite her success, Roberta Flack remained grounded, deeply aware of the power music had to unite, to heal, and to speak truth. She used her platform to advocate for education and social justice, championing causes that supported music programs in underserved schools and highlighting the struggles of marginalized communities. As her career progressed into the 1980s and beyond, Roberta continued to evolve. Whether embracing the changing sounds of contemporary R&B or exploring her love for jazz standards, she never lost her signature touch, that quiet power, that unmistakable honesty in every note. Her passing marks the end of a monumental career, but her influence lives on in countless artists who cite her as an inspiration. From Alicia Keys to Lauryn Hill, her legacy can be heard in the work of every artist who dares to strip a song down to its emotional core. Roberta Flack didn't just sing songs, she gave them life. She turned lyrics into confessions, melodies into memories, and performances into conversations between herself and the listener. Though her voice may be silent now, her music will continue to echo for generations, reminding the world that vulnerability is strength and that the softest voice can sometimes leave the deepest impact. Al Trautwig passed away at the age of 68, leaving behind a legacy that forever shaped the world of sports broadcasting. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Al wasn't just a commentator, he was a storyteller, a voice that became synonymous with some of the most iconic moments in sports history. From the sidelines to the broadcast booth, his passion, insight, and dedication elevated the experience of watching sports for millions of fans. Born in New York, Al's connection to sports started early. As a child, he wasn't just a fan, he was a student of the game. Whether it was basketball, hockey, gymnastics, or cycling, Al had a hunger to understand every detail, every play, and every story hiding behind the scores. That passion eventually led him to his first steps in sports media, and by the late 1970s, his career began to take off. Al first made a name for himself covering the New York Cosmos during the rise of soccer in America. His voice, clear and authoritative yet approachable, made him a natural fit. Soon, he was working with MSG Network, becoming a fixture in New York sports coverage. He didn't just call games, he painted pictures with his words, giving context to every pass, every save, and every victory. But his legacy truly began to take shape when he became the voice of the New York Knicks and Rangers, 2 of the city's most beloved teams. Through countless seasons, thrilling playoffs, heartbreaking losses, and unforgettable wins, Al's voice became part of the fabric of New York sports culture. Fans didn't just trust him for play-by-play, they trusted him to make them feel connected to their teams. What set Al apart wasn't just his knowledge, it was his emotional intelligence. He knew when to bring excitement and when to pull back, allowing the moments to speak for themselves. During the Rangers' historic 1994 Stanley Cup win, Al's coverage perfectly captured the raw emotion of a city waiting over 5 decades for a championship. His call became part of the memory itself, forever linked to that night of celebration. Beyond the local stage, Al's talents earned him a national platform. He became a cornerstone of NBC's Olympic coverage, providing commentary and storytelling for gymnastics, cycling, and skiing. His Olympic work showed his versatility. One day, he'd be calling a high-stakes hockey match. The next, he'd be capturing the grace and precision of a gymnast chasing gold. Through it all, Al's voice carried authority, warmth, and a genuine love for the stories unfolding before him. One of Al's most remarkable skills was his ability to humanize athletes. He didn't just talk about stats. He shared the personal stories behind the athletes, from childhood dreams to family struggles to moments of triumph. He understood that sports were more than competition. They were human drama played out on a grand stage, and he made sure fans never lost sight of that. Even in his later years, as health issues forced him to step away from the spotlight, Al's legacy was secure. The generation of broadcasters who followed, many of whom grew up listening to him, have carried his lessons forward. His impact can still be felt every time a broadcaster finds the perfect balance between excitement and silence, understanding that sometimes the greatest calls come not from shouting, but from letting the moment breathe. Al Trautwig wasn't just a sports broadcaster, he was a custodian of memories, a voice that accompanied fans through decades of triumph and heartbreak. Though his microphone may be silent now, his voice will always echo through arenas and living rooms, reminding us all why we love sports, because they tell the story of who we are. Chris Jasper passed away at the age of 73, leaving behind a legacy that forever shaped the sound of soul, funk, and R&B. As a key member of the Isley Brothers during their most creative and influential period, Jasper was more than just a musician. He was a driving force behind the grooves and melodies that defined a generation. From smooth ballads to infectious funk anthems, his mastery of keyboards, synthesizers, and songwriting left an indelible mark on music history. Born on December 30th, 1951 in Cincinnati, Ohio, Chris's love for music started young. Raised in a musical family, his passion was nurtured early on, and he quickly gravitated towards the piano. His natural talent combined with formal training led him to pursue music academically, studying at the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music and later at Long Island University, where he focused on classical composition and jazz. This deep understanding of both classical structure and modern groove would become his signature sound. Jasper's connection to the Isley family went beyond music. He grew up alongside Ernie and Marvin Isley, and together they formed a tight bond, both personally and creatively. In 1973, Chris officially joined the Isley Brothers, right at the start of their explosive creative run that would define the next decade. His arrival coincided with the band's transition into their iconic 3+3 lineup, blending generations of the Isley family into one powerhouse group. With Chris at the helm of keyboards and synthesizers, the Isley Brothers evolved their sound, infusing funk and rock into their established soul roots. His influence is unmistakable on albums like The Heat Is On, Go For Your Guns, and Between the Sheets. Songs like For the Love of You, Footsteps in the Dark, and Voyage to Atlantis bore Jasper's signature melodic touch, fusing lush chord progressions with innovative synth textures. Beyond his technical skills, Chris Jasper had a rare ability to make instruments sing. Whether layering gospel-tinged organ lines or creating futuristic synth leads, his work elevated the emotional depth of every track. His understanding of harmony and melody allowed the Isley Brothers to move seamlessly between soft, romantic ballads and hard-hitting funk jams, a versatility that kept the group relevant across changing musical trends. After leaving the Isley Brothers in the 1980s, Chris embarked on his own successful solo career, releasing critically acclaimed albums that further showcased his genius. Records like Superbad and Praise the Eternal blended his love for funk with deep spiritual themes, a reflection of his personal faith. Even as the spotlight dimmed, Jasper continued creating music, mentoring younger artists, and preserving the legacy of true musicianship. What made Chris Jasper truly special was his commitment to authenticity. In an era where music was becoming increasingly synthetic, Jasper used technology to enhance human expression, not replace it. His keyboard work felt alive, filled with the imperfections, soul, and honesty that made music resonate on a deeper level. Beyond the music, Chris was a quiet yet powerful advocate for artistic independence. He believed musicians should own their sound and their creative process. That philosophy guided his entire career, from his work with the Isley Brothers to his independent releases. He understood that music wasn't just a business, it was a sacred craft, and he treated it with the respect it deserved. As the music world mourns the loss of Chris Jasper, his sound lives on. From R&B stations to hip-hop samples, his work continues to inspire new generations of artists. Every time a rapper flips an Isley Brothers track, or a singer draws inspiration from those silky chords, Chris Jasper's legacy echoes. Chris Jasper may have passed away, but his music is eternal, a timeless soundtrack to love, heartbreak, faith, and celebration. Kevin Braswell passed away at the age of 45, leaving behind a remarkable legacy that spans both his playing days and his coaching career. A true basketball warrior, Braswell wasn't just known for his talent on the court. He was respected for his relentless work ethic, fierce competitive spirit, and the mentorship he offered to players coming after him. Born on January 23, 1979, Braswell's love for basketball became evident at a young age. Growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, a city with a rich basketball culture, Kevin quickly developed the toughness and tenacity that would define his career. By the time he stepped onto the court at Georgetown University, he was already a rising star, ready to make his mark on the national stage. At Georgetown, Kevin Braswell made an immediate impact. Playing under legendary coach Craig Esherick, Braswell became known for his fearless playmaking, clutch shooting, and ability to control the tempo of the game. Whether setting up teammates with precision passes or draining critical three-pointers, Braswell's leadership on the court made him a fan favorite and a respected figure across college basketball. By the time he graduated, Braswell had cemented his place in Georgetown history. He left the program ranked first all-time in career assists and steals, a testament to both his vision and defensive prowess. His name became synonymous with the tough, gritty identity that defined Hoya basketball, a legacy that still inspires young players today. After college, Braswell's basketball journey took him around the world. He played professionally in Europe, New Zealand, and the United States, becoming a global ambassador for the game. Whether suiting up in the fiercely competitive leagues of France or dominating courts in New Zealand, Kevin's passion never faded. He approached every game with the same fire and intensity that made him a star at Georgetown. But Kevin Braswell's legacy goes far beyond his playing career. After hanging up his sneakers, he transitioned into coaching, where his true impact blossomed. His deep understanding of the game, combined with his ability to connect with young players, made him a beloved coach and mentor. He found great success in New Zealand, where he led the Wellington Saints to multiple championships as head coach. His leadership, tactical brilliance, and ability to inspire confidence and discipline in his players turned the Saints into a dominant force. Players didn't just respect Kevin, they admired him, not just as a coach, but as someone who lived the game and understood every high and low they would face. What made Braswell truly special was his unwavering belief in potential. He saw talent in players before they saw it in themselves. He pushed his teams relentlessly, demanding effort, discipline, and focus, but always balanced that with care and understanding. He knew what it was like to fight for a dream, and he guided countless players through their own journeys, helping them grow not just as athletes, but as people. Kevin Braswell's passing leaves a huge void, not just in basketball, but in the hearts of everyone who knew him. His story is one of perseverance, love for the game, and an unbreakable commitment to his craft. From the playgrounds of Baltimore to the hallowed halls of Georgetown, from overseas courts to championship sidelines, Kevin's spirit and legacy live on. Every player he coached, every fan who watched him play, and every teammate who battled alongside him carries a piece of his legacy. Kevin Braswell may have left this world, but his impact, the lessons, the grit, the love for basketball, will echo through generations. Rest in power, Coach Braswell. Frank Dinganen passed away at the age of 72, leaving behind a treasured legacy as one of Belgium's most beloved entertainers. His name is forever tied to laughter, creativity, and heartwarming entertainment that defined Flemish television for decades. Known for his infectious humor, sharp improvisation skills, and ability to connect with audiences of all ages, Frank Dinganen was more than just a TV personality. He was a national treasure. Born on October 6, 1951 in Diest, Belgium, Frank's passion for performance started early. Even as a child, he loved to entertain his family and friends, using his natural gift for humor to brighten every room he entered. This magnetic charm would soon evolve into a professional career that saw him rise to the very top of Belgium's entertainment scene. Frank Dinganen's breakthrough came in the 1980s when he became a household name with the immensely popular television program Video Dinges. The show was a mix of comedy, pranks, and clever sketches, all tied together by Frank's brilliant sense of timing and playful personality. His ability to create spontaneous, hilarious moments made him not only a TV star, but a cultural icon. What set Frank apart was his versatility. He wasn't limited to just television hosting. He was a talented actor, singer, writer, and comedian, capable of switching between humor and heartfelt emotion effortlessly. His most iconic role as Meester Andre Bijs in the series Meester Hij Begint Weer captured hearts across the nation. Frank played the lovable, slightly overwhelmed schoolteacher with such authenticity that generations of viewers still remember his character fondly. Beyond acting and presenting, Frank Dinganen also enjoyed a successful music career, recording comedic songs and parodies that became instant hits. His sense of humor translated seamlessly into music, allowing him to blend clever wordplay with catchy melodies, earning him loyal fans both young and old. What truly made Frank Dinganen a legend was his authenticity. In an industry where personas can often be manufactured, Frank always remained himself. Whether performing live, hosting a show, or appearing at charity events, he radiated warmth, kindness, and a genuine love for people. Audiences saw him not just as a performer, but as a friend who brought joy into their living rooms week after week. His work extended beyond just making people laugh. Frank had a deep love for storytelling and understood the power of humor in bringing people together, even during difficult times. He used his platform to highlight social issues, often through comedy, giving his work a subtle but powerful depth that resonated with audiences on multiple levels. Throughout his career, Frank received numerous awards and accolades, but the greatest recognition came from the public itself. Whether performing at sold-out shows or being stopped on the street for autographs, Frank carried his fame with humility, always expressing gratitude for the love and support of his fans. Even after retiring from regular television work, Frank Dinganen remained a beloved figure in Belgium's entertainment industry. He made guest appearances, mentored young talent, and continued to be a voice of humor and wisdom for new generations discovering his work online and through reruns of his classic shows. Frank Dinganen's passing marks the end of an era, but his legacy of laughter, creativity, and kindness will endure. He reminded us all that humor has the power to heal, to unite, and to brighten even the darkest days. His shows, his songs, and his unforgettable characters will continue to bring smiles for decades to come. Rest in peace.